Well, hello there, you're watching the press preview. A first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the Liverpool Echo political editor, Liam Thorpe, and the former Conservative Special Advisor, Salma Shah. Welcome to both of you. So to the front pages then, let us start with The Sun. Good riddance. That is how The Sun reported the death of Hollywood actor and acquitted murder defendant O.J. Simpson, quoting reality TV star Caitlyn Jenner. That story is also front page lead for tomorrow's Mirror, infamous OJ dead. The Eye, meanwhile, carries an election pledge from the Labour leader Keir Starmer to boost UK defence spending to counter the growing threat from Russia and China. While the Daily Mail has also been speaking to Sir Keir, who tells the paper he can be trusted with Britain's nuclear defence capability. The Guardian, meanwhile, says Labour has been warned it could miss out on target seats at the next election if it alienates supporters over its policies on Gaza and green issues. The Times carries claims from a whistleblower of a cover-up by hospital consultants over a police investigation into 40 deaths there. The Express carries claims by campaigners that millions of pensioners are being shortchanged on their state pensions by not getting the full increase demanded by the triple lock. And the Metro says J.K. Rowling has been overheard telling a fan that she's unhappy with the former child stars of the Harry Potter films for having criticised her views on trans issues. While the Financial Times says markets have scaled back expectations of interest rate cuts this year, dealing a blow to Rishi Sunak's hopes of winning the next general election. And the Star claims that secret racing tips from jockey Ruby Walsh could help the paper's own reporter actually win the Grand National this weekend. Yep, keep it personal. A reminder, by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch us. Presumably they're sharing those tips, right, aren't they?
We've not actually seen inside, so I don't know what the tips are.
Oh,
but
okay.
I want to find out.
Yeah.
I can go back to Liverpool and win a few quid.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, you see Liam Thorpe and Salma Shah are here. Quick reflection then, Liam, on the Daily Mirror and other newspapers leading on the death of O.J. Simpson.
It's huge news today. I think O.J. Simpson, this kind of almost the kind of quintessential American hero at the time, you know, obviously before everything that happened, he was, he'd come from a very poor background. He'd had illnesses and he'd risen up to be this huge football star for the Buffalo Bills and then later a Hollywood star. And then it was kind of, you know, the great downfall of this icon, really. And we I think everyone, I think I was quite young, but everyone who was of a certain age was glued to that trial, the trial of the century, that so many of those iconic moments, you know, a few of the papers have talked about him trying on the gloves, Johnny Cochran's famous line, you know, if the glove doesn't fit, then you must acquit. You know, it was pure drama, it's pure theatre, but I think what a few of the papers are showing today is that at the heart of this, there are people who are killed and there are people who lost their lives. And regardless of the results of that, I think everyone's thoughts should also be with the family of O.J. Simpson's ex-wife and her friend, Ron Goldman, who lost their lives. I think it's also important to say that there was other things, other charges against him, other convictions. He was found guilty of battery of his ex-wife. He then obviously went to jail for armed robbery. You know, he's a pretty checkered history, O.J. Simpson. So it's one of those times when someone dies and you look back at his life and it's a complicated picture, and a lot of people won't exactly be unhappy or missing him. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yes, and you know, some suggestion that the jailing happened because he owed the Goldman family so much money because of a civil trial subsequent to that acquittal, that famous acquittal. It was my first year at Sky. I did lots of the overnight coverage, sat there watching the trial. You know, the glove, you remember, which Alan Dershowitz, one of the lawyers, accepted on Sky News today, may well have shrunk because it was put in the deep freeze by the prosecution. You know, the glove, the sock, the start of forensics and the DNA possibilities. It was this crime drama that everybody was witnessing.
Well, and the fact that it was televised. I mean, Liam and I were talking about that earlier because we don't have that here. The fact that it was on TV for everybody to have an opinion on, it sort of became almost a form of entertainment, perhaps, which is then, you know, also it has its sort of disturbing element. I think the other thing that's really important to remember on this is that this is, as you said, a picture story. And The Guardian and The Mirror, if you put them side by side, it's quite interesting, the pictures that they've chosen to use. The legacy of this man is a terrible one. It's completely tarnished. So, you know, in one picture he's being put on trial, in another, you know, it's the same thing.
He's in chains there, isn't he?
But he's in chains in the second one. So this is a story of decline. But I want to pick up on one thing just finally that Liam said. it is classically focusing on a perpetrator and not the victims. And this is very sad about the way that we have this almost perverse obsession with a person who...
But this was a celebrity trial, though, wasn't it?
Absolutely, but the fact that the subsequent interest and the attention and the fact that he's on all the front pages in this country as well, and he's leading the broadcast, even after all these years, I think it really does speak to a sort of perverse interest that we all have, unfortunately, in these kinds of stories.
Yes, you know, the subsequent allegations against him, as you can see as well. As you say, a story of decline, of fascination. You know, they talked about it being a moment in US history now. Such was the force of it that, you know, that car chase...
95 million people watched
perhaps
that
the
car
most
chase.
watched TV moment.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
it's
think
really extraordinary.
It's hard to think of that now when you think about social media and the internet and all these different TV channels that we have. There weren't that many in those days, and every single person was tuning into that one moment.
And there's the other aspect to this as well, which was about American culture at the time, and it was sort of thinking about establishment versus
race relations as well,
a black man who was stood accused of something, and
subsequent to the Rodney King LA riots as well.
Exactly. And so it was contextual for the time, and so it was also a very divisive trial for many reasons, not just the fact that, you know, families were torn apart and there were obviously implications for people around them personally, but actually for the entire country.
Yes.
We were saying the only thing we think we could possibly relate it to in more recent times is Oscar Pistorius, but nothing quite on the scale of O.J. Simpson, I think. It's just, it will go down in history as that kind of ultimate celebrity trial, I think.
Yes, and interestingly, you know, supposed to have died with his children by his side. You know, it's been a fascinating decades to witness, certainly. Let's move on to the coverage in the Financial Times, shall we, of... Israel and Iran. US allies pressure Iran not to retaliate against Israel for this potential retaliation for this strike on a consulate, including the Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron, as well, Salma.
Yes, so what's interesting about the Financial Times story is that this is really about Western and Arab efforts to take the heat out of this situation now, because we are looking at a very serious possibility of escalation of war in the region as a consequence. And so you'll see in the copy, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah al-Khamenei, said that Israel must be punished for this essential attack on Iranian territory because it was an embassy in Syria that had been attacked. So there is strong rhetoric on both sides. You've already quoted what Benjamin Netanyahu has said. So this now is a rush for Western and Arab leaders to make those big diplomatic efforts and try and cool the situation. How effective that will be, I'm unsure about.
And, of course, all eyes, as always, are on America, right? And Joe Biden has nailed his colours to the mast once again and come out and said his ironclad support is with Israel, which is interesting because at the time the UK is I guess, slightly faltering on that with some of its questions about what's happened, particularly with the World Kitchen aid workers and those kind of things. But Biden has remained steadfast, and obviously the Iran element to this gives Biden the opportunity to just row firmly back behind Israel.
Well, this is a slight tricky situation for Biden, because this time last week he was giving staunch criticism to Netanyahu
even this week
on the phone.
He called the Rafah, the prospect of an offensive on Rafah, a mistake, didn't he? And then
this is quite a volte-face, and it's because of Iran, isn't it? And of course that
the
is
dynamic
the
has
concern.
changed completely.
And the question for UK politics rumbles on too. We've seen a lot of it, including in The Guardian. Is the stance of the Labour Party on Gaza and indeed on climate issues and their green policies going to hit them, especially in urban areas? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, so what's fascinating about this is that there's some YouGov polling that has said that Labour essentially should really think about the way that it's trying to win certain seats. And the war in Gaza and Labour's reaction to it has upset not only sort of people within the Parliamentary Labour Party, but I think, Liam, you would agree with me and say that sort of the Labour movement more widely.
Definitely, yeah.
And the polling out there has been pretty catastrophic in terms of, not in terms of political parties per se, but in terms of some of Israel's actions. So I think that there is this idea that perhaps we are going to be looking at a hung parliament if that issue hasn't been resolved and there is a potential.
Sorry, even with the lead in the polls, you're now starting to talk about hung parliament.
Indeed, but there's always been that question as to how hard that lead is. It could effectively be quite a soft.
You look at George Galloway in the by-election, for example. Is that the sort of prospects we're talking about?
Yeah,
that shows the impact that one massive issue like Gaza can have. I think what's really interesting about this is that Labour are so firm in it, and all of their stances are to do with winning those swing seats that have tacked to the Conservatives. They've taken their eye off their more sort of heartlands, their progressive homelands in cities. And you look at places like Bristol and Sheffield Hallam, which are now back in play and really never should be. So it's kind of like they've got to look out for their left flank as well as their right flank. They've been focused on the right flank, and now they've got to think about the left flank. It's quite
interesting. This was always the issue that was present during the victory of 2019 of Boris Johnson. So he then has expanded what we call the Overton window, between left and right.
Yeah.
But trying to find cohesive policy that keeps everybody
within
in that
a first
space,
past the post system.
Within a first past the post system, satisfied.
Yeah, you're a Tory, you shoot for the red wall, you lose the blue shires. It works both ways, doesn't it, actually?
Exactly.
Yeah. Very quickly, if you don't mind, both the Eye and the Daily Mail talking about Sir Keir Starmer and the prospect of our nuclear deterrent. This, of course, follows the leadership of Jeremy Corbyn, who was staunchly against, wasn't it? So, Liam.
Yeah, and it also links directly to what we were just saying, because, I mean, it's not very often that you see a Labour leader writing exclusively for the Daily Mail. I mean, they're normally attacking the Labour leader. So, and they've been attacking the deputy leader, obviously, for a while. So it's really interesting. It's kind of a tanks on the lawn moment. You've got Starmer has made his case clear. He's very much backing NATO. He's backing the nuclear deterrent. You obviously mentioned the questions that Corbyn got over that. Starmer is absolutely explicit in his defence of Trident and also for defence spending. I think it just shows the stance that he's taking. He is putting his lot in with this kind of, I guess, centre-right area that he needs to win. It'd be interesting to see what the Guardian says in terms of their polling, what that impact that has on the kind of more progressive voters.
Very, very quickly, if you don't mind.
I'm just rather enjoying the fact that it says it's a landmark interview for the Mail and unshakable commitment to Trident. So clearly there is, if not in the polls, always, there's definitely a shift at the Mail headquarters.
Considering there's supposed to be an exclusive in the Eye with Starmer as well, so one of these news desks is going to be a bit annoyed, I think.
Should we call them up?
Yeah,
Find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Anyway, lots more stuff to come, prospects of election as well, because could fewer cuts in interest rates dent the Tories' election hopes? We'll discuss that too. It's on the front of the FT. Well, welcome back. You are watching the press preview. With me once again, Liam Thorpe and Salma Shah. Welcome back to both of you. Let's go to the Financial Times, shall we? We've talked about the prospects of Labour vote being dented in urban areas because of Gaza and green issues. But the FT is pointing out that the Tories pinning their hopes on better economic prospects might be dented because of interest rate cuts.
Yes. So moving on from Labour to Tory woes, there has been a reaction from the market. So investors are now saying that they predict that there are going to be 2 quarter-point cuts in interest rates as opposed to a 6-point cut that was excited in 24.
6 cuts, not 6-point cuts.
Sorry, 6 cuts.
That would be really extraordinary.
I'm confusing myself with this story. The point being that even though this isn't sort of concrete news, this is about the predictions that investors who are watching this are making about where they think the economic situation is going to go. And, of course, a later election seems to be predicated on the fact that there might be economic improvement. And if this holds true, then I'm afraid Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt have got a bit more to be worried about.
I think this shows the danger of betting so big on inflation, on interest rates. It says here that a lot of this is being driven by the US, which is completely out.
Well, the FT had a story exactly like this about America yesterday, didn't it?
And this is the follow-on.
Yeah.
We saw this with the whole subprime mortgages in around the time of the financial crash. For Rishi Sunak, obviously, to kind of bet his name, bet his reputation on inflation, which he actually has very little say on, particularly with these outside forces. But it will just be seen as another pledge that he's not being able to to keep. We've seen, you know, NHS data out this week. We know about the situation with the small boats. So, you know, it's the economy, stupid, right? It's not working for them.
The one thing that's going to be interesting is that actually, if you're preparing for government, as Labour seems to be, because of the poll lead, this is actually going to have a direct impact on the way that Rachel Reeves is going to have to think about the future, because this is about pushing up borrowing rates as well.
Even less money than they thought there was going to be.
So their plans are going to have to be rethought, whatever they're thinking for the manifesto right now.
Very quick word on Michelle Donnellan, £34,000 in libel costs. The legal fees racked up by the Cabinet Minister after wrongly accusing an academic of supporting or sympathising with Hamas. Liam.
Yeah, I mean, Pippa Crerar had this first in the Guardian today, and I just think it's going to make people really angry. We already knew that the public were forking out for this. We knew that there was, I think, 15 grand that we were coughing out for. Now it's gone up to 34 with extra costs. So it just keeps rumbling on, and it just keeps getting worse for the Science Secretary. And I think as a taxpayer, you just turn around and think, well, hold on, you know, she did this. Nobody forced her to sort of besmirch this person's reputation.
Well, I think ministers were saying she was acting on advice today.
Yeah,
and,
but
you know.
I think if you asked any person in the street, do you think it's fair that the public purse is paying for this essentially defamatory statement that was made, they would be really outraged by that, whatever the protocols are. And to see that bill rising, I just think people would be more and more annoyed by it. And, you know, I don't know if she has considered her position, but the opposition certainly thinks she should.
It seems to be a tale of party woes tonight, does it not? Reform UK have said they're mortified. Explain this one for us if you can, Salma.
So this is quite a difficult story because, on one hand, it sort of illustrates the incompetence of Reform's current election planning, but it's also quite tragic. So Reform dropped a candidate for inactivity only to find out that he had actually died, which is why they are mortified. But this is a man called Tommy Corkwell, who was the candidate for York Central, the parliamentary candidate for Reform in York Central. And he was basically accused of not doing enough, where the party had told him that we can't afford to have people doing nothing in an election year, only to find out that sadly he'd passed away.
So we're out of time. I do apologise. It is fascinating. There are others they've booted off for inactivity as well. Hopefully they're OK.
I think they're alive, yeah.
Yeah, Liam Thorpe and Salma Shah, thank you both very, very much indeed. Thank you.